I've always confused Guilty Gear as a series with Guilty Crown. But while Guilty Crown is about Guilty Gear is about It's about a lot of things. But most importantly, it's about having fun. Whether you're a complete beginner or coming from a different franchise, you'll definitely have fun with Guilty Gear Strive. If you want to know more about my experience so far with the game, stick around and I'll tell you about what it's like to play Guilty Gear Strive and why you should definitely play it. So the first thing I get when I open up the game is... What? Okay, agreed, alright. So the first thing I get when I open up the game is the tutorial. And it's nice, it's teaching me how to smack a guy, which is definitely gonna be really helpful for those who have no clue what a fighting game is. For some reason, they try a little too hard to stick in the lore that Kai and Soul Bad Guy have, the two dudes you see on the screen. The entire time Soul is complaining about how this tutorial is dumb, and that's probably why I like Soul so much. That, and the fact that his voice actor is Kotomine Kirei from the Fate series. But just because I didn't want to be taught to do what I already knew, doesn't mean that I don't like learning more things about the game. In fact, I think learning the ropes of a completely new character and making the character on the screen a further extension of your body is probably the most fun part about learning a new game. Now, I know a lot of people are daunted by the word learning, especially when it's in the same sentence as video game, so let me calm your nerves down by describing to you the average learning curve for a fighting game. The stages of learning a fighting game. Stage 1. I like big button and I cannot lie. During this stage, the player has no idea what the character does, and they're kinda just pressing random buttons. But eventually, they find a big button that they really like. Like in this example, it's Potemkin's sucker punch and his big slap. Once the player gets real familiar with these two go-to moves, the beginner begins moving on to the second stage. Stage 2. These other buttons I can apply. Now that the player knows that they like the sucker punch and big slap, the player now has a plan for attack. Move into range to attack, and use the big slap. At this point, the player starts wondering if there's actually a better way to do damage. Then, they might notice that they can actually use the sucker punch and then end their attack with a big slap. And after figuring that out, they never go back. And they might even figure out how to throw a special move or two in the meantime. And if they figure out how to add that special move to the end of their bread and butter combo, then the sky becomes the freaking limit, baby. Hey, get out of there. Oh, what you doing? Woo, get the sweep kick. Oh, shady, man. Winning the game. Winning the game. Wait, I died? What did I do? How did I lose? Oh, I see. So, whenever I use my special move, and he blocks it, he gets to hit me for free afterwards. I guess I shouldn't be spamming special moves willy-nilly when they're blocking, huh? Stage 3 is called Body Extension Acquired, because at this stage, whatever the player thinks to do, the character on the screen does it. The player isn't thinking about things like pressing the joystick to move forward, or which button corresponds to which attack. Instead, the player be balling. If I want to smack that guy, my character is moving up and smacking that guy. All that the player is thinking about in this stage is which attack to use for maximum effectiveness and when to do it. All of the brain power previously used to simply pilot the character now goes into things like how to get close enough, how to keep them away, when to attack, or when to counterattack. Let's take a look at how I'm using this newfound brain power in this match. Take a look at how I'm fighting against this Kai, a character which I kind of despise. Notice how he keeps on throwing projectiles at me. I can't keep taking them like a champ because it's doing damage to me, even if I block them. I could jump over the projectile, but I'm a little scared since he punched me out of the sky earlier. Here, I'm racking my brain trying to think of how to get closer to Kai without risking too much when, aha! I remember that Potemkin has a move that allows him to flick any projectile away and towards the enemy. Now he has to block it, and I can finally walk a little closer to him. Alas, he simply just shoots another projectile, and I screwed up the input for the flick, which fortunately makes me jump upwards and backwards over the projectile. The Kai then proceeds to endlessly attack at my defense, and then back off safely, leaving no room for a counterattack. This was only possible because I didn't know that I was supposed to counter Kai's overhead kick with a well-placed attack. And if I had known that, I would have been able to deal with his offense much easier. Players in Stage 3 usually concern themselves with learning more countermeasures like punching Kai out of his overhead kick and acquiring more tools that will help them win more games. Stage 4, Rock, Paper, Scissors, Speed Chess. I'd like to direct your attention to this guy's defense. See how he's just standing there, not menacingly? He has no idea that I could just kick his feet. It's just so easy to do, man. Ah, wasn't that so nice? Oh, look, he's standing up again. I'm gonna go ahead and... What a sucker this guy is. What's this? The enemy player adapted? Look at him. He's crouching while blocking? I can't have that. That means if I kick his feet, it's gonna get blocked. It doesn't look like he's gonna be standing up anytime soon. Well, since he's crouching down, that means his head is nice and vulnerable for me to attack. Let's try an attack from the air. You're looking real stupid right now, pal. What's he gonna do? Oh, standing up now, huh? Bah. Wrong choice, buddy. You can't forget about my kicks. But you can't forget about my air attacks too, buddy! Which one's coming next? Is it a high attack or low attack? Well, the answer is neither! This type of rock, paper, scissors speed chess is present in every single Stage 4 match. Each player is trying to think about what the other player could be doing and how to effectively counter it. Let me very briefly introduce you to the RPS of fighting games with a classic example of getting a hard knockdown on the opponent. This interaction is called Okizeme, which directly translates to wake up offense. It's not gonna be a guide on how to do it. That would probably take an entire video. Instead, I'm just gonna give you a short little crash course on Okizeme in fighting games.
Crash course to Okizeme featuring Uncle Jerry and Soul Bad Guy. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Uncle Jerry and I'm here with Soul Bad Guy to show you how you could be perpetuating your offense after a knockdown. We're gonna be demonstrating this killer offense on our friendly neighborhood Kai Keeks. What? You see how whenever I do something like a special move or a sweep kick, the opponent gets knocked down on their feet? That means I can run up real quick and the opponent can't do a single thing against it. Now that I'm standing directly on top of the enemy, let's see what they're probably gonna do. Oh, hot diggity, they just got up and started attacking. You know what's the darndest thing about that? Even if they do the fastest attack they have, I can beat them to the punch with the right timing. If I time the attack correctly as they're getting up, they'll wake up to a fist in their face. Look at that effectiveness. This action is called a meaty. Don't ask me why, it's the result of colloquialism. Now that I've got the meaty down, every time the opponent wakes up and wants to attack me, I get to combo them into oblivion. Now you might be asking me,
"Hey, Uncle Jerry, how do I not get hit by the meaty? This seems so unfair."
well, the answer to that is to block the attack when you wake up. No matter how well timed my meaty is, the opponent can always manage to block it safely.
Well, gee, if blocking right away when I wake up is enough to counter the meaty, why bother me teaching me in the first place?
That's because whenever you notice that someone is blocking a little too often, what can you do?
Throw the guy!
That's right, you can throw the opponent and it doesn't matter if they're blocking. And the cherry on top is that after a throw, you get another chance at Okizeme.
Wow, you're going in for another one?
That's right, just because I got a throw in doesn't mean it's time to stop. Now look at how I'm standing on top of him. What do you think I'm about to do to him? Is it A, meaty, or B, throw? If you answer A, meaty, you're correct. After somebody gets thrown, they usually get a little paranoid that another one is coming and will try to attack you to prevent the throw from happening. Remember, when you're on the offense in Okizeme, meaties beat attacks but lose to blocks, while throws beat blocks but lose to attacks.
Wow, doesn't that mean every time I get knocked down, I have a 50% chance to get hit again?
Not necessarily. There are a lot of layers to Okizeme, and if the opponent executing Okizeme doesn't put a lot of layers to conceal their intentions, you can get a read on the opponent pretty well. For example, many players like to do the same option twice in a row and then change it up on the third time. Well, it looks like Uncle Jerry's out of time. Remember, I'm Uncle Jerry, and this was Uncle Jerry's crash course on Okizeme. I'll see you round town.
Yeehaw! Phew! That crash course took a long time to make. Did you like it? Or better yet, did you learn something from it? If it seemed confusing to you, that's okay. It's supposed to be confusing. After all, you're trying to confuse the opponent, and the opponent's trying to confuse you. The reason why I talked about the stages of learning a fighting game is because you shouldn't be worried about getting to the point of being good. The fun thing about fighting games is learning the next cool thing that might help you go from one stage to the next. If you're in stage 1, keep doing stage 1 things that you find fun, and before you know it, you'll be in stage 2. Many people try to get to stage 4 as soon as possible to have the most fun, but really, the most amount of fun that you're going to be experiencing is in stages 1 through 3. In addition to that, in Guilty Gear Strive, thanks to the ranked system called the Tower, you'll be matched against players of your skill. In most other fighting games, the people that you play with are usually much better or worse than you, so sometimes you feel like you're never improving because you're either always winning or losing. Well, that issue is going away in Strive. Just ask my friend Pinklebutter, who started playing Guilty Gear Strive as his first fighting game on release, and is now on the 9th floor out of the 10 floors in the ranked ladder. He's kind of scary good. Each time he went up by 1 floor, we both felt a sense of pride and accomplishment from his achievements. I envy new players, really. In fighting games, the journey really is the destination. Or was it the real treasure was the friends we made along the way? Whatever, doesn't matter. In conclusion, Guilty Gear Strive is about having fun. It's not about getting beat up. It's not about pressing buttons really well. It's not about sweating an entire bucket into your chair. While all of those can happen while you play Guilty Gear Strive, the game's primary goal is to make you really feel like Spider-Man. It's to make you feel cool about something that you did, and make you wonder how cool the next thing could be. In fighting games, we start small. We can start with learning how to walk, how to dash, how to punch, and how to slash. Eventually, we hit the end game of fighting games. And you may think that it's really technical stuff, like making reads, keeping pressure, flawless Okizeme, frame perfect inputs, or Roman cancels, but it's actually not that at all. The end game of fighting games is simply loving the process of playing your opponent, learning from that experience, and wanting to play more. That's it. And while you might not play fighting games, you can definitely start small. Why not start off with giving the game a go? Going into the tutorial and checking out some characters. Maybe fiddle around with some buttons, find a favorite move or two, and hop into the tower to test out those new moves on some unsuspecting guys. I assure you, in no time, you'll be having fun learning one thing after the other, laughing when you screw up, feeling proud when you win, and learning from your mistakes when you lose. Because that's what it's like to play Guilty Gear Strive and why you should definitely play it. Hey there, if you're still here and listening, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please let me know down below with a like or a comment. It helps me to know if it's the right direction for me. I put a lot of effort into the video, and I even had to cut off like half of my script out. Originally, when I started typing this thing, I cranked out like 9 pages before I finished saying what I wanted to say about GGST. I wanted to talk about stuff like mission mode and even a little bit about picking your character, but because of time constraints, I had to cut the video short. And it's funny too, like my summer break started the day Guilty Gear Strive came out, so I wanted to finish the video before my break ended. 2 weeks passed and my break ended, but my video wasn't finished. So at this point I was just whittling away at the video as I went to a 3-hour math course and did an additional 5 hours of homework afterwards. I also wanted the video to be like really good. At one point I kept on editing and re-editing and dubbing and redubbing, and I realized that I would need an infinite amount of time to make a perfect video. And an infinite amount of time I do not have. Even though I had to grit my teeth and release a video that could have been closer to perfection, I'm still really proud of it. I really hope that it helped some of you guys decide on whether or not you guys want to give the game a go. If you already play GGST or fighting games, then maybe send the video to someone you know. Fighting games are really fun when experienced together. Alright, that's enough from me.
Make sure to support your boy and like and subscribe and comment and